Clap your hands if it's your first time at DC Improv. Clap if it's your first time. A lot of people. Excellent. Well, you're in for a great show. We're happy to have you here, guys. What can I say? Clap it up for me. I just moved out of my parents' house. Thank you. I lived with my parents for 2 years after college, just moved out. A lot of people ask me, how was that, living with your parents as a grown adult? And I always tell them it's a lot like lifting a car off a baby. You don't think you have the strength to do it until you're left with no choice. And even at that point, unless you're a great person, you're kind of reluctant, right? A little bit. First thing to happen when I moved out, I scratched my iPhone and I had to take it to the store. Yeah, oh. And my mom was trying to guilt trip me about that, too. She goes, Denise, why do you keep buying iPhones when you know that Apple uses child labor? But I don't like kids, so I don't really know where she's going with that. I don't like the kids I'm related to. Why would I care about some kids that are all the way in China, right? And even if I did care about them, let's not pretend that making a bunch of only children get some jobs is the worst idea in the world. Those kids can be taken down a couple of pegs, I'm sure. Okay? Especially now that they're beating out our only children, and by that I mean me. They're better than us at everything at this point, right? Donald Trump's kind of right. Like, you play a musical instrument, some Chinese kid plays it 10,000 times better than you do. Okay? There's a DC improv show going on in China right now where all of you are laughing. Especially you, I see you, this front table. And the Chinese are always talking about how the Great Wall is the only object you can see from outer space. I wish we never told them that. I do. And by we, I mean Americans, and by the Chinese, I mean my one Chinese friend. But he speaks for all of them. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I lived with my parents for 2 years. I watched the news a lot. You know, I didn't read headlines like you people. I actually sat down and watched the news. And we have a lot of problems in this country. Can you agree? Like, a lot. Yeah. Here's one. We have to rely on shitty countries like Saudi Arabia because they have oil and we don't. And it's high in demand, right? There's nothing we can do about it. But tell me if you think this is a good idea. And I'm only asking because it's DC. And I know there are a lot of policy people out here. I feel like the demand for Saudi oil wouldn't be half as high if lawmakers and scientists in this country could just find a way to not let our women drive either. Like, how hard is that as a solution? Thank you. I mean, I'm not an economist, but it seems pretty freaking simple, right? Rip a page from their playbook. What do we have to lose? Nothing. My friend Karen hates that joke. She goes, Denise, why does it have to be women that are the half the population not driving? Why can't it be men? I'm like, I don't know, Karen, because that sounds insane. Can you hear yourself talking right now? What are you, crazy? And for those of you who aren't laughing, I can make jokes about Middle Eastern women, because I don't know if you guys can tell at all, but I am not afraid. So it's going to be a great show. Loosen up, guys. Loosen up. People are afraid of Muslims now, though, because of terrorism. They call that Islamophobia. But if you've ever met an Islamophobic person, I think you'll find that they have some pretty irrational fears, right? I mean, they're pretty irrational. Like, first of all, most people who are afraid of Muslims look like they've never even been on a plane. Or worked in a building, for that matter. So what the hell are they worried about? I'm the one with the Metro card getting on public transportation every day. It's not going to happen to you, Kansas. It's just not. Speaking of, you guys think Trump's going to win after yesterday? The debacle? No? What makes you so sure? You're like, I'm not voting for him, so that's impossible. We're in a bubble, guys. A lot of people still like him. I don't like him. I had a friend telling me the other day, she goes, Denise, Donald Trump is so bad. If you take one of his speeches and replace the word Muslim for the word Jew, it sounds just like Hitler. Yeah, and she's got a point. It does sound that way. But to me, that just goes to show that people are the same all around the world. Because I am from a Muslim country originally, and the exact same thing happens when you take one of our leaders' speeches and replace the word Jew with Jew. It is amazing how it sounds just like Hitler when you do that. It's uncanny. So yeah, I don't know. People are shitting on his wife now. Why? Because she's hot and she stole a speech. Get over it. Grow up, people. She's great. I have a lot of people my age, like girls my age, have been calling Melania Trump stupid. Like, that woman married a billionaire. I don't care if it is Donald Trump. She married a billionaire. Like, you can't get a guy who owns one towel to text you back. How dare you call this woman stupid? She's a genius. Get over yourself. God damn it. I go to law school now because I'm not putting all my eggs in this basket. And when you go to law school, people always ask you, what type of law do you want to do? What type of law do you want to do, Denise? That's a question I get a lot. And I always tell, it's not like college. Like, we don't have majors. Okay, I have to explain to them that first year, everyone takes all the same classes. And then second year, you divide into 2 tracks, good or evil. And at that point, you just pick a path and stick with it. Like, whatever comes up, any situation, are you going to argue for the right thing or the wrong thing? I think you guys can tell which one I picked. So, yeah, a lot of interesting studying methods in law school, though, that I didn't see in college. Like, a lot of people pull all-nighters. A lot of people do speed. A lot of people do speed. I heard a rumor that the Lord of the Rings soundtrack is supposed to be really good music to listen to while you're studying. And I listened to it the first time the other day, and I finally figured out why people say that. You guys want to know why? It's because everyone who studies is a goddamn nerd. So, yeah, that's just what they're into. You have to examine the source. I mean, I'm not doing my homework, but I'm thinking critically about something, so that counts. It's cool being in D.C. for law school, though. A lot of cool stuff happens. Like, around a year ago, the Pope came to town, and everyone lost their minds. Are you guys a fan of this Pope? Yeah? Yeah? You guys like this nice new Jennifer Lawrence Pope? Everything he does is just adorable, right? He fumbles, and we're like, oh, so down to earth. He says something obvious, like, I think good people go to heaven. We're like, had to be said. Good one, Pope. Thank you for that. At this point, he gets on TV, and every white guy in America is just like, I'd marry this Pope. I bang all the other popes, but this one I could really see myself settling down with, really, Trevor? Was it up to you? Do you think he would look at you for even a second? Guess what I'm trying to say is I can't wait for those nudes to come out, right, guys? How long do we have to wait? It's okay. I'm not religious. Like, I don't pray or anything. I mean, I make bargains with God that I back out of later, but I wouldn't call that praying, you know? That's just something I do. And because I go to law school, I know not to put any of that shit in writing. That's rule 1 of prayer, is that you don't put it down in writing. A lot of countries are weird about religion, though. It's not just like the Pope area. Like, I was reading the other day that if you're a gay man in Iran, like the country Iran, like we all know what Iran is, right? If you're a gay man in Iran, the state makes you get a sex change operation even if you don't identify as trans. Like, that's just their policy. They're like, we can't have gays here, so this is what we're going to do. Sorry. I mean, we'll pay for the operation. We're not monsters, but you're going to have to get that fixed. All kidding aside, like, can you imagine what a nightmare that would be to be one of those guys, right? Just what a terrible day. Like, 1 minute you're just a happy-go-lucky gay guy living your life, and the next minute the government is forcing you to wear a headscarf. I mean, you have to choose to do that, right? They can't just force that upon you. You guys said you knew a lot about Iran. You were lying, that first part. Now I know who the liars are and who the truthers are. This is good, though. Yeah, girls have to go through all sorts of things in, like, every society, though. I was reading something about a debate on whether or not we should call little girls pretty or whether or not we should call them smart, like, as they're growing up, like, what will make a better society. And I want to take this to the crowd. Clap if you think that it's okay to call little girls pretty because it boosts their self-esteem and it's no big deal. Clap if you think that's true. Okay. A few people. Now clap if you think that we should focus on calling them smart because otherwise they'll stop doing their math homework or something. I don't know. Clap if you think that that's the case. All right, we're about half and half. Well, luckily, I took a feminism class in college, so I actually have kind of a nuanced perspective on this. I think that, yes, we should be able to call little girls pretty, but only if they are. Now, I realize it's hard for a lot of you to make that same intellectual leap. But what you have to understand is I've read a lot of PDFs, you guys. I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. I think I know. Anyone single here out of the ladies? No? You? That's cool. This next one will be directed towards you. Do you ever do this? Like someone's hitting on you at a bar? You don't want to reject them outright, so you say, I have a boyfriend. Does anyone do this? They just make up the fact that they have a boyfriend? Yeah? You do that? That's crazy to me that you do that. That's insane. Like, I have a made-up boyfriend, too. I don't tell people about him. Like a sociopath, I'm not just going to tell people about my made-up boyfriend. I have a friend who, he has a girlfriend, but he wants to have a threesome because he's greedy. And I don't know if anyone here has had a threesome. I have a pretty good idea just by looking out at the crowd, but I don't know. You guys aren't the most honest crowd, as we learned from that Iran joke, so. But I'm like you guys, I don't think that's anything to brag about either. To me, threesomes are a lot like communism. In theory, it works great. But in practice, one man gains total power, while a third of the people are cold and can't escape. So for those reasons, guys, clap if you're ready to start the show. You guys are